Hey everybody, this is Way to Fail with another Scrolls Ranked replay, where today we have a game between Martyj13 and Peteos, or Peteos, or Pete. It's Marty versus Pete, two players ranked over 2,000. It's not over 9,000, but we're not quite there yet. And this is going to be a Decay versus Decay matchup. But this is going to be an interesting one because from my understanding, neither of these players run order. So let's go ahead and take a look. Get started. We're watching from Marty's perspective. And he starts real quick by ditching one of his cards, and he has Damning Curse, Return to Nature, Damning Curse, and Loyal Darkling. So not too much to play with early. But like most things Decay-wise, it does take some time to ramp up as both players, once again, the higher ranks, very familiar with each other here. Marty running Necrogeddon, but actually getting rid of it early because, well, there's not too much to do with it in the very first turn. So once again, you're going to see those high-cost cards go away pretty quickly. So Marty putting out the first unit of Loyal Darkling, which Pete is going to Energy Siphon, which is interesting because that means obviously we have a Decay Energy deck, and we have at least a Decay deck right now. There's no order involved in this, I promise. But certainly want to see a good Energy Decay deck and just see what people are trying to do with them. But right now, this poor Darkling not going to be able to do too much except maybe sacrifice himself for the greater good or the greater Illmire. He's going to poke for 0 damage right now. But Pete, what does he have to respond? He has 3 Decay. He's obviously sitting waiting for something. And there's a Curse Monger, which can definitely be a thorn in anyone's side with its curse ability. Marty, though, drawing a Harvester, which is going to be really fun to get on early. It's just a matter of can he keep it alive. Since he is playing someone with Decay and with Energy, it's possible that there's many different ways that Harvester can die, either through direct damage or direct killing. So Pete putting out his own Oblivion Seeker. And right now, just sort of the board setup for both players here. They're kind of taking task of the middle of the board here. But Marty having some cards to play with. I really find his deck interesting here, though, because he's playing Growth, but he's dropping in a Rat King as well. So this isn't just your Puppet Return to Nature. This isn't your Puppet Nutrition combo. And keep in mind that this game was played pre-nerf, in case you're watching this post-nerf with Nutrition, or with how Nutrition and Puppet Soldier interact. So just keep that in mind. But still, I'm looking forward to seeing what he does with the Rat King. Possibly, because he's holding on to it right now. Goes ahead and drops the Harvester. You could kill those rats really quickly, any number of ways. But right now, Pete is going to actually, and you don't see it as well here, but he does put a curse on the Harvester and drops out a Harvester of his own. So that could be potentially unpleasant. Decay versus Decay, if you get multiple Harvesters out and no one gets to deal with anyone's, it can be a serious carnage on the board. But Marty moving his units around. Having plenty of small creatures he can play here. He plays another Darkling. Once again, that is bonus idle damage. He could Soul Steal one of these guys just to try and have it be an Illmire Shambler running around. But right now, Pete, putting the Infectious Blight on the Harvester. So that Harvester has 2 turns left to live, as it takes 3 damage here. And Marty, what's he got right now? He gets a Sister of the Fox as well. So you can see this is not just a Growth splash. This is a straight up Growth order deck. And he actually elects to Fertile Soil, or he elects to Nutrition, excuse me, not Fertile Soil. I'm just so used to playing Growth, I guess. He elects to Nutrition the Oblivion Seeker, and that's 2 cards, and he has 10 Decay to play with. So he can play his Rot Eaters if he wants to. There may not be a good Soul Steal target other than this Darkling, but for now I guess he wants to keep it for blocking purposes. No, he's going to go ahead and sacrifice it. So instead of Soul Stealing it, he wants to save the Soul Steal for offensiveness. And you can notice Marty here spreading his creatures across one line. That is in defense of the potential Puppet Nutrition combo once again. But this Harvester is going to go down no matter what. And right now the Curse 2 is on the Rot Eater. And there's another Energy Siphon as Pete is just doing his best to slow down Marty's creatures. And the Infectious Blight spread over to the correct Rot Eater. This one is now marked for death, as it were. Marty, I'm sure, would have preferred the Loyal Darkling to get tapped that way. But right now, still relatively early on, we're starting to move into the point of the game where Decay starts to flex its muscle. But so far, other than Energy Siphon, we're not seeing a lot from Pete in terms of energy play. So maybe he does have some cards up his sleeve for a little bit later. But for now, Marty just electing to do what he can. And there goes his poor Rot Eater up there. Is just going to kind of be in a sad place pretty soon. So Pete, there's one return to nature, goes ahead and takes out the Sister of the Fox, return to nature, giving him growth. So he has growth, energy, and decay. And unfortunately, he also has a harvester tearing down his idol and tearing down his one Rot Eater. There's the other Rot Eater gone. That's a board clear for Pete as Marty is suddenly in trouble. Drops a Languid. It's still early. There's still plenty of idols there, but this is not the position you want to be in against a harvester. However, Marty does pick up a Puppet Soldier. Could be waiting for a nutrition. Could possibly Fertile Soil, except Fertile Soil only allows you to target creatures, not structures. But there's the Oblivion Seeker, just going on its way. The Cursemonger, I always find a sort of hand clap attack pretty interesting. But Marty, he's got to have some way to respond here, and he sacks for Decay just to get out an Oblivion, or he does sack for Growth, but just to get out an Oblivion Seeker. So what it looks like to me, because he's going for maybe that 4th Growth, he could be going for a big 5-6 card turn because he'll get multiple cards for killing the Oblivion Seeker with Fertile Soil. And Pete dropping a Stone Pack Memorial. That is not what I expect to see in this kind of matchup here. Both players playing what I guess would be called not standard decks at all. What's Marty going to do now? He decides to go for the 4th Growth, and is it going to be the Fertile Soil play? Yes, he clears his own board, gets a bunch of stuff out there, drops a Languid. That is so many cards that he got in his hand all of a sudden. Such a big turn. Brain Lice on the Harvester. Languid on the Oblivion Seeker, so there's going to be a lot of 0 damage flying around. But does he have what it takes to come back? Is Pete getting out a Sister of the Fox, dropping an Automata Forge before or now? So there is your energy play, as we have a very big board for Pete. Marty's got to figure out something real quick, or this one's going to get out of hand in a hurry. So Marty, having a Sister of the Fox, having a Fertile Soul, he could go for cards. But he also gets another Puppet Soldier. No nutrition to play with, so there's the Sister of the Fox. Leading into the, I hate it when that happens, the dreaded Sister of the Fox and the Sister of the Fox. But still, it's chump blockers, it's creatures. He gets a Harvester out. And right now, it's just going to be, I guess, kind of a mess. There is a Sister of the Fox out for Pete as well, as we're seeing some similar cards play, some different. And there's a Damning Curse, and that is a wickedly good Damning Curse, because it takes out enough creatures to let the Harvester attack, and there's going to be one idol. First idol to Pete, as Marty only has 2 little sisters left. And what can he possibly do to stop this onslaught of units just coming after him? He does have a Harvester. He does have a bunch of small creatures. And he's sacking for Decay, so that's 6 Decay. He could possibly go for a Necrogeddon play here. Or if he wants to try Return to Nature, but it's not going to do a lot of good at this point. But there we go. He's stacking his creatures accordingly. Another one down on the bottom. He plays all 3 Ragged Wolves. And are we going to see the Necrogeddon? Yes, we are. Necrogeddon. I'm sure there's a better sound effect for that. But anyway, there is your army of ghouls, goblins, baddies, husks as they're called in this game. Taking out how many creatures? Pete goes from having a huge board to an Automata Forge and a Harvester today. Just brought out an if he keeps his whole units there, oh no, he's gonna Puppet Soldier nutrition his own line. I was about to say, if he kept everything in that one row, it's gonna be a nightmare, because Marty's sitting on a Puppet nutrition himself now. And there we go. Plenty of cards played for both players. Lots of resources abound, both having similarly situated hands. But there's a Husk getting quickly Fertile Soiled. And Marty's going to be able to draw more cards. He can Languid. He can Nutrition Puppet Soldier if he wants to as well. And that's what he's going to do, because the Harvester is one of those cards that can just end your game if you're not careful. So you try and hold on to that as best you can. But once again, Pete still having plenty of cards, plenty of ways to answer, but definitely not the board control that he used to have. So Marty right back in the thick of this one. Pete, on the other hand, he's got to respond, but he has 9 cards. That's certainly a way to do it. There's an Infectious Blight to start with. Energy Siphon as well, so that's going to be more energy. As Sister of the Fox, he also looks like he pumps one of his Automata Forges there. So Infectious Blight's just going to go until it stops. Now, Marty could Damning Curse one of his own units, but there's really no great reason for that. Not when he can Fertile Soil and Oblivion Seeker. That is so many cards back in hand, as he has a Frost Gale he can possibly play. And Frost Gale could be interesting if he gets 2. He could take out a bunch of creatures and get his person to attack. I say person like a Harvester, but why do that when you have the Nutrition and the Return to Nature? And there goes everything but one Automata Forge. Marty totally swinging the game back his way with plenty of cards, still some stuff in his hand as well. Pete getting out a Harvester of his own, but is he going to be able to get it out in time? There's the burn. There's 2 Return to Natures. That Harvester is almost ready to go. Marty, though, has a Damning Curse. He can answer right away. And what's it going to be? He gets a Ragged Wolf. He has Return to Nature's Damning Curse here on the... No, he's doing 1 Return to Nature. 2 Return to Natures. Frostgale. I'm not sure what's going on here. Marty doesn't have the Okay, so there's Marty saying, wow, I really need sleep. So there's a misplay. He just did a lot with 2 Return to Natures that he could have just done with a Damning Curse. And worst of all, the Harvester's still alive. So that's inability to count right there. That Harvester is going to have its countdown knocked down at least 1 more. And there's the Nutrition on Pete's own. So there is the other Harvester going into play, getting a Stone Pack Memorial out in front, and a Kurtzmonger as well. So uncharacteristic misplay by Marty. And there's another idol taking quite substantial damage. And once again, there's a board clear, as both players get into the kindly chatting mode. And Marty is going to see maybe if it's going to be Sister of the Fox time, if he's going to just try and refresh his board by getting more cards. There is an Oblivion Seeker that he could play, but instead he has, let's see, Damning Curse. He's not going to mess around this time with 2 Damning Curses. So Marty taking out the Harvester there, but Pete still with pretty good control, with plenty of resources to use. He can just dump his energy into that Automata Forge as much as he wants. But actually, that was interesting. He has so many cards, 8 cards, and I didn't see him play a single thing there. So Marty using the Frost Scale. Looks like Pete did not want to take the initiative here. He wants to be reactionary, which Decay's pretty good at being reactionary. But Marty here, if he's thinking about another Neck or Get in play, Pete's going to get punished for not using his cards last turn if he had something in hand. And there's the Neck or Get, and getting 2 more Husks out. There goes the Automata Forge. There goes the Cursemonger. And we're kind of back to square 2. There's 2 Husks. There's one languided Gun Automaton, and there is the Energy Siphon and a Brain Lice. So Marty definitely, I'd say he came out on top of that exchange. Not sure why Pete was sitting on his cards, as both players talk shop about their deck a little bit. But right now, Marty having another Ragged Wolf, he can use another Loyal Darkling, which are always good for direct idle damage. But it's going to be the Harvester at least first, so maybe he can kill off plenty of other units, getting the Rot Eater in between, so its little tentacles can't necessarily tickle the husks on the back. Because once again, trying to avoid the Puppet Nutrition play, Marty saving his Ragged Wolf Haste for a rainy day. And that rainy day could be turn 20 or turn 21. As Pete drops 1 Sister of the Fox, is he going to get a double Sister? No, there is a Nutrition, or there's a Puppet that's got to be Nutrition on top of it. Enjoy watching this like this while you can, because it is going to change. Puppet Soldier will only be able to be triggered by actual damage. But Marty, let's see what he's got here. He has 1 Ragged Wolf that he can use. He has a Frostgale actually as well, so I'm not sure entirely what he's going to be able to accomplish here. But he does have another Necrogeddon if he wants to put something on the board. There's a Return to Nature to take out the Gun Automaton. 1 extra growth is better than none. And is he going to actually Necrogeddon right here? Because that'll take out the Automata Forge, and that's what he's going to do. Marty getting the board clear himself. I've never seen someone Necrogeddon this many times in one game. And oh, that was an excellent play by Marty too, moving the Darkling down 1, and then using the Husk's extra movement to attack the middle idol right there. So don't forget, it's like Necrogeddon is like a freshly summoned creature. You can move it again. You can use it to get extra board control on it. But Marty, there is a quick cleanup on Isle this game. The Return to Nature and Frostgale. I'm sorry, I will never say that again until the next time I have to say it. Meanwhile, Marty, for all the cards he had before, that's a dead turn. Soul Steel, Nutrition, Necrogeddon. Not a great place to be. So Pete, maybe he can come back here. He's got to do quite a bit of idle damage, but unfortunately not having the cards to play either. Marty getting a Puppet Soldier Nutrition. Does he want to take out the Harvester? Once again, the Harvester is a kind of card that can just ruin your day. But oh no, there's a Rat King. And this could get really interesting really fast, because I can see Rat King synergizing stupidly well with Necrogeddon. And are we going to see a Rat King Necrogeddon right here? I think so. Turn those rats into husk. There we go. It's Necrogeddon time. This Harvester, it was ready to attack, and now it's ready to just get beat down. As there's another idol down to 4 health. Marty doing some pretty substantial damage and keeping pretty good control of the board. But Pete's still just really one or two really strong plays away because Marty's in a very vulnerable position, and there's 2 Return to Natures. So Pete getting some extra growth and going ahead and just wiping out Marty's board procedurally. On the other hand, Marty does have a few more creatures he can play. He can potentially Puppet Soldier Nutrition that Harvester if he wants to, but he gets out a Harvester of his own. And there we go. There's the Puppet Soldier. There's the Nutrition. That Harvester has just been marked for death. Better than to possibly lose it here. And there's an Oblivion Seeker that says, "Hello, I'm here." So Pete having to respond at some point. That Marty's huge card advantage before is now gone. He only has 1 left. If there's a great time for Pete to possibly act, this could be it. As there's the Damning Curse on the Harvester. Does 1 damage to the Cursemonger. And Marty has 1 health idol and 1 4 health idol. So not a lot you can say about that. The Soul Steel's not really coming into play to this game for Marty. So he sacrifices 1 and actually gets a stupid card combo, Fertile Soiling his Oblivion Seeker. And now what can he play? He has another Harvester. He has a Ragged Wolf. There's a Brain Lice. So many different options here. So there we go. He could potentially Fertile Soul next turn as well, depending on what he gets. He does have the Puppet Soldier. He does have a Damning Curse in case Pete gets another Harvester out. But there's a burn, one of the few burns that we've seen this game from Pete, as he just has a few cards to play with energy, but I think a lot of what he relied on for energy is getting the Automata Forges out, and he's gotten those out, and then they've just died. So Marty putting the Languid on another creature, as Pete just is not capable of doing a ton of damage, but can Marty save his idol? He has a Damning Curse. He doesn't really need to use it on the Cursemonger because it's poison, so he Fertile Souls a Rod Eater, and there's another more cards. Loyal Darkling, he has a Puppet Nutrition combo. He has a Rat King. Ugh. Pete for being so far ahead earlier this game. Puppet Nutrition on himself, drawing more cards, getting another Oblivion Seeker out. As man, this is what Decay does. It's just a big back and forth, and some people say this is slow, but these are, like I said, 2 non-standard decks. You're not seeing a bunch of Pothers or Blessings of Haste or anything. I'd like to see Pete be able to do more with energy, but I guess he's just not getting the cards as Marty going from having no cards to so many cards, restocking his deck so fast. Languid, there's another card neutral. There's Sister of the Fox, drawing another card. Damning Curse, could do potential good things if he got the Rod Eater out and just surrounded everybody with it. But he doesn't really have anybody he wants to Damning Curse. But there's the Rod Eater, there goes the Sister of the Fox. If Marty were to get a Necrogeddon, Pete would be in serious trouble. And what has Pete got? Just a burn. Just 1 burn on the Rod Eater. And there's its Automata Forge as well, so maybe he's going to be able to get some good use out of his energy. There goes the Infectious Blight, just poison all over the place. 2 Sisters down, and there's the Necrogeddon 1 turn too late. So I don't know if Marty's terribly happy about that, but he's got to get some other potential creatures to play out at this point. Is he going to be able to do that? Puts a Rat King out on top. That is a card that's going to be Necrogeddoning here, as Marty's going to be able to take out 2 idols between the Loyal Darklings. Bonus damage, there we go. Pete's saying good game preemptively, but that's not what the math says. That's 9 idol damage there. 2 damage from the Loyal Darkling, and then 6 more damage to that idol. So Marty takes 2 idols in 1 turn. There's Necrogeddon for people who are saying it's not that good. It's certainly doing the heavy lifting for Marty in this game. So Pete, once again, can he respond? There's a Harvester. Is he going to do another ridiculous... Okay, Frostgale, so we may be seeing that Frostgale and Return to Nature. Just like that, 5 husks gone. Board cleared, as Pete was just almost sitting on those cards waiting for that next move. And that idol takes 0 damage. And there's the Harvester, and that's an interesting, kind of sad position to be in. The Harvester, as Pete is actually saying right here just as well, Harvester would have loved to have taken out 1 idol, but unfortunately he had no other way to protect this 4 health idol. And Marty's showing his Necrogeddon hand. If you leave that idol unprotected, it could be GG right there. But Marty not in fact drawing a Necrogeddon. So instead it's just going to have to be more of a slow play. It could be a Sister of the Fox, Fertile Soil. There's the Damning Curse to at least take out the Harvester, because once again Harvester is a terrible card that will just ruin your day. There's a Sister of the Fox, Fertile Soil, and then plenty of other cards. There's the Necrogeddon that Pete's been dreading, that Marty's been looking for. Can Marty set up the board to possibly do a Necrogeddon play to end the game? Don't know the answer to that. But Pete getting nutrition for more cards, double Energy Siphon, and there's a Soul Steal. So that poor Rod Eater, I don't know if they have names or not, but not going to be able to do a lot. Is Pete playing a turn 29 Blight Bear? That is not something you see too often. So Marty having plenty of cards here, getting a lot of draw between his Fertile Soil, his Oblivion Seekers, his Languid, but can he actually punch through one of the idols right here? He does Soul Steal and Frostgale. He does get a Puppet. Is he going to Nutrition? Yes. So there's another idol down. He doesn't have the stones to play Necrogeddon, though, so that's not going to happen this turn. Marty wisely moving up one of his units to protect his 1 health idol. But there we go. There's one Rod Eater that's going to have a very good time, potentially. Actually, it's going to probably be Necrogeddon if Pete can't do anything to defend against it. So there is an Energy Siphon, and there's a Soul Steal as once again Pete just doing what he can. Probably wanted that Ilmire Shambler to go somewhere towards the bottom so he could move it to protect that idol. But no, the RNG is not in his favor. And there goes Marty. He pretty much can do whatever he needs to do here. And it looks like this is going to be the GG. He gets a Return to Nature. He has the Necrogeddon. All he has to do is to just exchange pleasantries, and there's the board getting cleared. There's the Necrogeddon as those ghouls, or those husks are going to come out one more time. And there's the game. Martyj13 defeating with apparently the exact same cone and torso, Peteos. Still a very entertaining game by 2 players, going on ranked ladder matches, but playing non-standard decks. That just shows you kind of the skill that they have, both in deck building and in playing. But I found the game entertaining. Hopefully you did too. This is Way to Fail with Scrolls Ranked Replay. I'll see you next time.